How's it going, everybody? It's Stas here. Welcome back to another video. So in today's video, we're going to be doing an overall market update, taking a look at the Dow Jones, the S&P 500, and the NASDAQ. We're also going to be doing a trading update, talking about what I personally did today in the stock market, as well as some stocks and ETFs that I'm watching and looking to trade right now as we're heading into the month of February here in 2020. And let me tell you guys, this week, it's pretty hectic in terms of the large cap companies reporting earnings. We had Apple today. We have Microsoft this week. We have Facebook this week. We had Netflix last week. We have Tesla this week. There's just a lot of companies reporting, and I want to go over what some of the estimates for these companies are, as well as what Apple reported, AMD, as well as Starbucks. So if you guys enjoyed this video, all I ask from you is if you enjoyed this video, which I just said that, simply go down below for me and hit that like button. Also, consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. And if you want to be further connected with the Strive Smart community, I have a Discord link down below in the description box, as well as a Facebook group. Feel free to join those two communities 100% free of charge. So, guys, let's kick it off here, starting off with the SPX, also known as the S&P 500, the 500 largest publicly traded U.S. companies. So today, as you guys can see on this 2-hour chart, this 90-day 2-hour chart, we actually held the 180 SMA, which is this overall level of support that we've been seeing over the past 3 months of trading. So that is a good sign here from a bullish perspective. And let me tell you guys where we actually closed before we do get further in terms of the technical breakdown. The S&P was up today $32.61 at the close of the market, up 1.01%. So quite the recovery here since yesterday's session, which was quite ugly. If you guys don't recall, we can see yesterday the S&P went down from 32.95 all the way down to about 32.35, which is around a 60-point drop there. And again, technically speaking here, we double bottomed and we had a nice 1% bounce back rally type of day today, which is really good because technically speaking, again, back to that 90-day chart, today's little action and the fact that we are seeing a hold on top of that EMA, that's a good sign that the S&P wants to continue its uptrend here. But if we go back to that 4-hour chart, which is that 6-month chart, we're technically still trading below the EMA and the 50 SMA, despite us overall holding a higher low. So based on this technical analysis, based on the technicals that I'm seeing here, the S&P is continuing its uptrend as of right now. And mind you, these futures are actually red. They're down 3 points right now in terms of the E-mini S&P futures at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this is what I'm really watching heading into tomorrow's session, because let's say these futures are gapping down, let's say 10, 15, 20 points in terms of the S&P. That could be signaling a further drop down and maybe even a red day tomorrow. And who knows, maybe we get some more shocking news regarding the coronavirus. Maybe something else crazy happens, a big company misses earnings. Who knows, that could end up dropping down the market. But let's say the futures are turning green, large caps are doing well pre-market, we could be pushing up above the EMA and the 50 SMA here on the 6-month chart, which would be a really good technical break and good price action from the bullish perspective. So let's talk about the Dow Jones here today, guys. Up 187 points at the close, up 0.66%. And just like the S&P, we are technically speaking at a higher low here, but on the 4-hour chart, we are still maintaining a price that's below the EMA and that 50 SMA. So for the full-on uptrend to continue, I'd need to see some sort of push back into, I'd say, maybe 28,800, 900, maybe back into the 29,000 territory. And if we zoom in a bit to that that 5-day, 5-minute chart, we can see the abysmal day yesterday. We double bottomed. Now we're slowly breaking out on the 5-day, 5-minute, which is a good sign. But again, on that longer term chart, still technically under those moving averages, which could, raise some awareness, some red flags for you guys that are very, very hardcore on, trading technicals out there. So let's go over here to the NASDAQ, guys. The NASDAQ right now down about $4.75 after market hours. That's the price action of the futures. But if I pull up my Yahoo Finance app and see where it closed at today at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard, we can see, well, you can't see it. I can see it here. It was up 130 points at the close, up 1.43%, which is pretty incredible. And if you guys saw yesterday's action for the NASDAQ, it was down, I believe, 2% at the close. And typically, when we have some volatility in the markets, when we have red days out there, typically, not always, but a lot of the time, the NASDAQ does get hit the hardest due to tech stocks being really the most, not the most volatile, but compared to the Dow, tech stocks, are much more volatile than, the stocks that are comprised by the Dow Jones, if that makes any sense, right? A lot of the Dow companies, although there are some tech companies in the Dow, a lot of the Dow are just boring companies that don't grow too much and that aren't too hugely affected by drops in the market. They are, believe me, they are, but not as much as some of these tech names, right? So overall, the NASDAQ right now seems like it is holding a higher low here despite being below that 50 SMA on this 2-hour chart. And on the 4-hour chart, the really good thing is we did end up successfully holding that 180 simple moving average here, the yellow line, at a higher low, which is good because stemming weeks ago, that has always been a level of support here for the NASDAQ. So overall, guys, the coronavirus didn't really shake up the market today. We saw it did yesterday, but this doesn't mean that it's completely out of the way. This does not mean that it can't shake up the market again, maybe tomorrow, the next day, or maybe even next week if something crazy comes out. And from my understanding today, based on just pure memory from the research that I was doing, based on what the Chinese people, based on what they're telling us, there's around 4,500 people infected or something like that, and the death toll has risen to about 102 people since yesterday. Yesterday in China, at least, it was around, or was it in China or was it all around the world? Either way, I believe it was in China. It was around 82 people dead. Now about 103 people dead. I think it was in China, and a lot of more people outside of China. We have France infected, Sri Lanka, Cambodia, Canada. There's a lot of other places because 5 million people actually left the epicenter before they were able to contain the people in there, meaning the virus was able to spread, which is obviously very detrimental to everybody out there because they can catch that virus, and of course to the stock market, because what does the stock market hate? The stock market hates fear and uncertainty, and the coronavirus, it puts a lot of that out there into the market, a lot of fear and a lot of uncertainty. So overall, in terms of a market basis today, solid green day, and I'd love to know what you guys have to think about that. Me personally, do I think it will continue? I think, yes, slowly the uptrend is going to continue, and of course, it's going to be based mostly around, not mostly, but heavily around what these large caps do report in earnings, and we'll talk about one massive company today, Apple, that did report earnings, what they did end up reporting. So drop a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on the market. Now let's quickly talk about what I did in terms of my trading. So if you guys follow me on Instagram, which I highly recommend you do that, at StaSurfS, you saw I made 2 call-outs this morning on my story. One of them was Netflix, guys. And Netflix, This is one that I actually bought pre-market today, a little bit at around, I believe, 345, 346, right around there. I forget off the top of my head, but it was in that general area. And this is one that I've been mentioning on the channel. They crushed earnings last week. They did very well. EPS, I believe revenue came in line, but guidance for Q1 looked pretty good. And these are some fundamental factors that I think can push the stock here in the short term. And the price action definitely does back that. So for me personally, we saw the rally to 360. This is where I profited in my first Netflix trade, which was last week. And obviously we had that very bad red day yesterday, which dropped Netflix and opened up another opportunity, in my opinion. And the fact that we were holding 340 and trending up pre-market, I just needed to nibble some shares, to be honest, guys, because I'm bullish Netflix here overall. Again, the fundamentals in terms of their previous earnings report and Q1 guidance is looking pretty solid for me. And the pull down served as an opportunity. So 345, I nibbled some shares. We rallied all the way up to about 352. Didn't sell, didn't buy more. And now you guys can see after market hours, we're holding around 347, pretty close to where I did end up scaling in. So for me right now, Netflix, I'm simply looking to, add more shares to the position and really exit at around maybe 360 again. If we just barrel through 360, more volume kicks in. Maybe I'll add more there, ride it back up to 380. Ultimately, this is the general area, 360 to 380. I'd love to start scaling out at 360 and then get completely out if it does end up getting, and by out, I mean, selling shares, get out at least by 375, 380 at the latest, right? So Netflix is one that I'm just accumulating shares here and that I want to swing trade, and SQ is one that I completely ended up locking in profits today due to a very, very quick move in just one day. You can see SQ Square, it's a fintech play like I've been mentioning. I'm bullish fintech, PayPal, Square. There's a bunch of other plays too, Microsoft, Visa, those are two more, not Microsoft, MasterCard, those are two more established plays, I'd say. But Square today, it did very well, up $3.75, up 5.28%. And if you guys have been following the channel, you know that I've been accumulating shares of Square, or I did about one or two different times at around the 71 to about the $71.20 level. And that was about, what was that? Was that the last day of trading? I believe that might have been on Friday that I did end up buying those shares. And if you guys saw, again, on Instagram this morning, follow me at StasserFest, I posted that I was buying more Square at around $73.06, just due to it having pretty insane momentum this morning, right? So I did end up buying, arguably a little late, but as you guys can see, it served me quite well as we ran all the way up to 75. But I did end up buying again at around 73.06, bringing my average cost, I'd say, more towards the 71.20 buy-in level because I bought heavier down here, but it was around, I'd say, 71.80, my average cost, and I did end up selling out this morning as we dumped, not this morning, it was more this afternoon, at around 74.30-ish, I believe, as we started to break this level of support. And sure, if I were to hold the rest of the day, I would have made a little bit more money, but it's okay, guys, because 2-3 days of holding Square, I was able to make a nice, what was it, about a 3 to about a 3.2% profit, which I'm taking that any day of the week. So overall, guys, that's what I ended up doing today. Nothing crazy. Square, I almost forgot. I actually bought just a little bit. Remember how I said I think the markets are going to recover here eventually? Yeah, I put my money where my mouth is, and I bought a little bit of TQQQ today as well. Very, very small position, nothing too crazy at all, which, if you guys don't know, this actually tracks the NASDAQ at a 3x rate. It goes up whenever the NASDAQ is going up. So, again, I think markets will recover. We saw Apple not trying to ruin the surprise, but I'm sure you guys know anyway. We saw Apple did well in terms of their earnings after hours, and just in general, I think tech will do well, which could drive the NASDAQ higher, and that's kind of what I'm doing and planning on profiting from here with TQQQ. Again, very small positions, a bit more risky because it is leveraged, but I did buy a little bit of this today at around, I think it was roughly $97. So to be honest, I bought a little bit late, but figured buy a little bit, at around $97, and we'll see where it goes from there. So overall, that is what I ended up doing today, guys. TQQQ, Square, and Netflix. Let me know down below in the comments, what are your thoughts on that, and what are you guys actually doing right now in the stock market in terms of your individual trades? I would love to know, as always. Now, let's get into Apple, because they reported earnings today, and they actually blew earnings out of the water, guys. Ticker symbol AAPL. They were up 2.83% today, up $8.74 at the close of the market, hitting $317 per share at the close of the market. And take a look here, guys, where they ended up going after hours. They ended up going all the way up to $327 per share, which does mark an all-time high on Apple. And that move is a move of 3.3% just from the close of the market today to that peak, which gives me the notion that they did well in earnings. And yes, guys, they did well. They reported $91.8 billion in revenue versus the $88.4 billion expected. EPS came in at $4.99 versus $4.55 expected. And if I pull up my other notes very quickly so I can show you guys and tell you what the specific iPhone revenue was. iPhone revenue came in at $55.96 billion versus $51.5 billion, and the services revenue, which arguably is one of the weaker parts of their earnings report, came in at $12.72 billion versus $12.98 billion, which right now, based on the price action of the stock, it seems like the massive beat on revenue, EPS, and iPhone revenue is really just overblowing the service revenue miss, just based on what I'm seeing here from the price action. And another thing which is kind of overriding the services revenue, which, guys, you have to realize Apple, their business is heavy iPhone right now, and they're trying to grow the services space. They've introduced all of these different new services, which I'm sure you guys know, Apple Arcade, Apple TV, not Apple TV, is that what it's called, Apple TV? It clearly shows that I haven't used it, right? But Apple TV, I think that's what it's called. But either way, their Q2 guidance is what ended up, continuing to push the stock in after hours, in my opinion, as their Q2 guidance came in between $63 billion to $67 billion, and the Wall Street estimate came in at around $62.33 billion. So the one thing that stock market investors and traders love, guys, is when a company reports guidance that beats what Wall Street is, expecting from Wall Street's guidance. That's something that is awesome, right? And we'll see on the flip side here, AMD, they reported poor guidance, and they're actually falling here after hours, or at least last time I checked, they were falling. And let's take a look at them right now. Ticker symbol AMD. And in terms of Apple, guys, honestly, at this point, this, based on whether it's going to open up green tomorrow, which I'm assuming it is, but if it opens up big, I think overall, guys, the markets could be up pretty green tomorrow due to Apple just being one of the biggest stocks. I believe it is the biggest right now in terms of market cap at around 1.4, 1.5 trillion. With this big move, probably 1.5 trillion. So this might end up just pushing the market up in general tomorrow, and we'll see what the other, big tech companies report in terms of earnings as well. So AMD, Advanced Micro Devices, guys, you can see they've been crushing it. The stock's gone from $30 to $52 over the past couple of months. And if we're going on this 1 day, 1 minute, you can see the stock closed at $50.53 today, guys, and now it's plummeting all the way down to about $48 per share. So they reported revenue here of $2.13 versus not $2.13, $2.13 billion versus $2.1 billion expected. So they beat on revenue, and they also beat on EPS. 32 cents EPS versus 31 cents EPS expected. But why the stock is falling here after hours most likely is because they see quarter one revenue between $1.75 billion to $1.85 billion versus the $1.87 billion expected by analysts. So Apple, again, their guidance is outpacing Wall Street, but on the flip side, AMD, their guidance is not outpacing Wall Street, which is not good. And one thing that is, I guess you can say good, is their quarter one gross margin is expected to be 46% versus 44%, but it seems like the lower guidance is for revenue. It's just overriding that Q1 gross margin, upbeat look there for the quarter one. But that's really it, guys, in terms of AMD. I personally wouldn't touch it here. It could end up seeing a bit of a sell-off due to this earnings report that wasn't too great. Maybe if we get down to about $46, maybe above that 180 SMA here on the 4-hour chart, that could end up opening up an opportunity, but we'll have to see what it does when it does end up, if it does end up approaching that area. So another stock that's reporting earnings this week is ticker symbol TSLA, also known as Tesla. They went up $8.88 today, up 1.59%. And their estimated EPS is going to be $1.72 with revenue of $7.02 billion. And these are numbers that I got off the analysis tab, I believe, on Yahoo Finance. You can see, what the analysts are expecting on the low end, the high end, and then the average, which again, those are the average numbers, 1.72 EPS with revenue of $7.02 billion. And I've expressed my thoughts on Tesla here in the past couple of videos. I think for them to continue to push up here, guys, it's going to take an earnings report that just blows us out of the water. It's going to take some crazy delivery numbers, some crazy profits, some crazy revenues to get this stock to move up. And I think, anything that's subpar, anything that disappoints, let's say they lose money, let's say they miss on production, deliveries, revenue, whatever it may be, I feel like the stock could end up taking some sort of dip, maybe 5%, maybe 10%, like we've definitely seen Tesla do in the past. So another stock is going to be Microsoft, guys, ticker symbol MSFT. They're reporting earnings on the 29th, which is tomorrow. And let me double check Tesla. I don't think I mentioned for you guys when they report earnings. Let's take a look here. They're reporting earnings on the 29th as well. So tomorrow after market hours for both Tesla and Microsoft. And when we're looking at Microsoft here from Yahoo Finance, their estimated EPS is $1.32 with revenue of $35.67 billion. And Microsoft ended up going up 2% today. Very, very strong day for the stock after it did dip down to about 160 and it held that 180 SMA on the 4-hour chart at a higher low. Now it seems like we're going to test back up to 168. So for Microsoft to move here, obviously they need to beat numbers. And I personally think when we're comparing Microsoft and Tesla, I think Microsoft at this point does have a bit higher upside if we're just looking at their earnings. That's just me based on a pure speculative basis, right? Because Microsoft hasn't ran up nearly as much as Tesla, and honestly, I just think Microsoft has more to gain here in the short term than Tesla, just due to Tesla running up just a ridiculous amount here over the past couple of weeks. So Microsoft definitely worth watching. Facebook is another one that did pretty well today, up 1.36%. Facebook is reporting earnings tomorrow on the 29th as well, and their estimated EPS is at $2.53 with revenue of $20.89 billion. So Facebook successfully held 214, 210, 214, that general area that we were mentioning yesterday, which is a really good sign. Now it seems like it wants to test that 50 SMA here on the 4-hour chart, maybe at around 220, and from there 222 will be in test. And similar with Microsoft, I think Facebook has way more upside here than Tesla, just due to how much Tesla has ran up. And honestly, with a beat here in Facebook, maybe a growth in some daily active users, some key metrics here that we watch for Facebook stock, this could end up punching it up above 220, maybe to another all-time high. So Starbucks, they also reported earnings here today. Let's take a look at how that stock's reacting, and oh golly, it is not reacting too good. We hit a high here. Let's see when that was. Was that a couple days ago, back at $94.20? And since then, oh my goodness, Starbucks has seen a cliff dive down to all the way about $88.60 at the close today, and down to $87.30 after market hours. So that's showing me that investors, traders, they're not taking this earnings report too well. And just judging off of the bear metrics here, EPS came in at 79 cents versus 76 cents expected, so they beat there on EPS, but revenue came in at $7.09 billion versus $7.1 billion. So they missed there on revenue. Let's take a look and see. Okay, Starbucks closed. Okay, boom. There's a catalyst that's definitely negative here. Starbucks closed half of China stores amid coronavirus outbreak. So that could be, along with that revenue miss, those two things combined could be pushing down Starbucks. And of course, the coronavirus here, the business that is affecting that, the part of business, or actually no, I'm confusing my words here, guys. Starbucks, the business that they're losing from closing the stores from the coronavirus, those numbers, they're not going to be shown until Q1, which is the next earnings report. And who knows how much that's going to affect the stock, but it seems like investors and traders are worried here, at least after market hours. So overall, guys, that's pretty much it in terms of all the different stocks I wanted to mention in today's video. Maybe Uber. Uber is another one that I'm in. I didn't buy any more today, but Uber did well, up 71 cents today, up 1.96%. Seems like we are holding 36. We held that 50 SMA on the 4-hour chart. We broke above the EMA. This is a good sign that Uber is returning, and continuing to an uptrending pattern here. So I feel comfortable holding Uber and maybe even buying more if we do end up breaking $38, which I am watching as the next level. So overall, guys, that is pretty much it for today's videos. Honestly, I could keep on going. There's a lot more stocks that I want to talk about, but I can't make these videos too long. So if you want to catch my next video where I do break down more stocks, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button if you did find value in this video, and also drop a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on the markets, on the stability of the markets. Are we going up, down? Individual stocks you're watching, I'd love to know. And I also have an affiliate link down below with Webull, which if you actually use that link and deposit $100, you get 2 free stocks valued up to $1,400, and that directly supports me and supports the free content that I'm putting up up here on YouTube. So get your 2 free stocks, guys. Those are linked down below in the description box. Thanks again, as always, for the support here on the channel. It means a lot to me. The growth of the channel has been pretty insane over the past couple of days, and that wouldn't be possible without you guys. So thanks again. As always, I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace out.